Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, November 26th. Two big storms will impact much of the nation over the next several days. One is already producing some heavy snowfall in the Rocky Mountain states. That will continue to intensify as it moves to the north and east, heading up towards the upper part of the Midwest. Will end up being a wide swath of heavy snowfall amounts from around Denver to Minneapolis. This goes all the way to Minnesota and Wisconsin over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, another storm is brewing off the west coast of the U.S. This will become quite a powerhouse storm. It will intensify rapidly over this next 12 to 20 hours or so, and then make landfall later on tonight near the California-Oregon border region. It will bring heavy rain and strong winds to the coastal sections of California and Oregon, and then heavy snows to the Sierra Nevada in eastern California, end up being measured by the foot in the Sierra Mountains over the next couple of days. That storm will cross the country and actually result in a precipitation event in the mid-Atlantic region and northeast U.S. during this upcoming weekend. Looks like there'll be enough cold air around for some ice and snow to be a factor this upcoming weekend in parts of the Mid-Atlantic region and Northeast U.S., and we'll get into the details over the next few minutes. First of all, let's start off with NOAA's weather warnings map, and you see a lot of colors. That means a lot of activity going on, and again, we have two big storms to deal with over the next several days. First of all, this is the snowfall associated with this initial storm. Again, snowing right now in the Denver region. They're in the middle 20s. Some reports of up to a foot of snow already out near Boulder, for example. And this was that swath of snow I mentioned a moment ago, from the Colorado Rockies all the way up to the upper part of the Midwest over the next 24 hours or so. Places like Minneapolis and upstate Wisconsin will get pounded by this storm as well. That storm moves in this direction and then kind of slides to the east, and tends to intensify after it closes in on the New England coastline. That will contribute to very strong winds in the Mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., Wednesday night into the day on Thursday. Certainly gusts past 40 miles per hour are possible Wednesday night into Thursday in the northeast part of the nation, the Mid-Atlantic region. Meanwhile, look at this, hurricane force winds just off the coastline with this next storm. And this storm is intensifying as it drops southward, and again will impact the coastal sections of Oregon and California with significant rainfall, potentially damaging winds, and then tremendous snows in the Sierra Nevada over the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Very likely well more than 1 foot, maybe 2 feet in some areas. Again, a tremendous snowfall coming to the higher elevation regions of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Well, we showed this type of map in yesterday's video forecast discussion, and it's the 7-day total precipitation amounts depicted by NOAA. This goes from this morning, Tuesday morning, to next Tuesday morning, and look at all of this across the nation. Again, as we mentioned yesterday, the only exception here seems to be the southern half of Florida. We have tremendous precipitation amounts in the middle part of the country, and of course out in the west associated with that powerhouse system. This is the Sierra Nevada precipitation amounts, and all of that will come in the form of snow. Again, they'll be measuring snowfall by the foot over the next day or two out across eastern California. Tremendous rains from the Oregon coastline down the California coastline, and that will also feature some damaging wind gusts as well. Meanwhile, right now we have significant snowfall occurring in the Colorado Rockies, and that will extend all the way up to Wisconsin and Minnesota. Much of this in the form of snow over the next 7 days, and really in this region it's over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. Well, let's take a look at last night's 6E GFS model run. We'll first look at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps, because it really tells an interesting story, especially with respect to what might happen in the northeast U.S., the Mid-Atlantic region this weekend. We'll kind of focus in on that over the next couple of minutes. First of all, storm number 1 already producing significant snow in Colorado. Some reports of a foot of snow already in and around the Denver region. Boulder, for example, coming in with a 14-inch report already. This slides up to the north and east, as does the significant snow all the way to Minnesota, Wisconsin over the next day or two. Let's move forward here. And here we go. By this evening, notice this second very impressive looking upper level feature off the west coast. So that is storm number 2. Intensifies rapidly during the day. Today becomes a very powerful storm by the time it makes landfall later on tonight near the California-Oregon border region. Let's keep moving forward. And first we'll focus in on storm number 1. That slides up by tomorrow into the, at least the upper level feature, into the southern part of Wisconsin. And then it tends to turn basically eastward and ultimately ends up here by late Wednesday night, early Thursday in the northeast U.S. There'll be a strong surface low at this time, not far from the New England coastline, and that will produce strong wind gusts, perhaps past 40 miles per hour in places like New York City, Philadelphia, D.C. from Wednesday night into Thursday. Already have canceled the balloon activity at the Thursday parade in New York City with the expectation of these very strong winds. Meanwhile, look at this out in the west. That powerhouse storm dives to the south initially, and then ultimately will take a turn to the north and east. And here we go. By Friday, storm number 1 exits. Ridge of high pressure ridge starts to build across the Mississippi Valley, and cold air is starting to expand at this time up across the southeastern part of Canada, south central Canada. That will play an important role in what might happen this upcoming weekend in the northeast U.S. Watch what happens with this upper level feature. It moves northeast up to about the South Dakota area by Saturday. But at this point in time, look at this ridging right here to its north. That acts as kind of an atmospheric roadblock, and it also promotes some cold air drainage from the southeastern part of Canada into New England. This is, again, Saturday morning's 500 millibar forecast map. And then watch what happens. This system is forced by this upper level ridge, all this cold air in the south central southeastern part of Canada. It's kind of forced to dive to the south and east, and here we go by late Sunday, situated down across the Mid-Atlantic coastline. Again, it's moved from South Dakota in a southeastern fashion over the weekend, and what that will do, that will allow the cold air to really sit in place across the northeast and Mid-Atlantic region this weekend, extending southward from southeastern Canada down into the Mid-Atlantic region and northeast U.S. That spells trouble. That spells potential ice in some areas and potential accumulating snow, especially to interior sections of this part of the nation over the upcoming weekend. So an interesting dive to the south and east, and that's in a very important change to the track of this upper level feature as far as the weekend weather is concerned in the Mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. It raises the possibility of frozen precipitation. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's 6E GFS model run. By the way, very nice weather today, and still mild on Wednesday in the Mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. In fact, 60 degrees will be the high temperature in many spots of the I-95 corridor region this afternoon with plenty of sunshine. So very nice weather today, and still mild tomorrow, but there will be a chance of a few showers as a cold frontal system moves in. First of all, significant snow right now across Colorado Rockies all the way up into Wyoming, and that will slide to the north and east over the next 24 hours with storm number 1. And there we go, significant snow falling by late tonight, early tomorrow across the western half of Iowa, southern Minnesota. This is kind of like the storm that we experienced in October, where it was a Denver to Minneapolis special with significant snow all the way from Denver metro region up to Minneapolis. Same sort of thing is happening right now. Strong storm here, and of course tomorrow is travel day. Travel will be terrible in this part of the nation, given the combination of the heavy snowfall and very, very strong winds associated with this powerful storm number 1. Meanwhile, out in the west, here we go. Storm number 2 slides into the California, Oregon area. Already some significant snowfall showing up by tomorrow morning in the Sierra Nevada, and significant rains along coastal sections. Strong, potentially damaging winds associated with storm number 2 as well in California. Now let's move forward here into the day on Wednesday, and then by Wednesday night, storm number 1 slides across the eastern Great Lakes. Nice pressure gradient here, and that suggestive of very strong winds moving into the mid-Atlantic region. And by this time frame, still a strong storm here by late Wednesday night, early Thursday. 989 millibars, tight pressure gradient on its western side here, and that suggests wind gusts perhaps 40 to 50 miles per hour out of the northwest Wednesday night, Thursday morning in the I-95 corridor region, throughout much of the mid-Atlantic region and northeast U.S. Precipitation will not be a major factor with this system. The cold front itself, only a few showers expected tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening in the mid-Atlantic region. The wind will be the biggest factor here from this storm number 1. Again, primarily focused on Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Meanwhile, storm number 2 showing up now across the western U.S. and watch what happens here. A couple of important players. Here we go. By Friday morning, storm number 2 causes some more heavy snow in the interior part of the west across some of the Rocky Mountain states all the way down to northern half of Arizona, Utah, and Colorado getting in the action. But look what's happening here across southeastern Canada. Strong high pressure at the surface, and if you've followed Perspecta Weather over the years, you know how important to me seeing high pressure this time of the year is in terms of not only bringing cold air into the northeast U.S., but helping to sustain the cold air. And this is what indicates the possibility to me of some ice and snow, and at least in interior sections this upcoming weekend. And watch what happens with storm number 2 here. It slides up to the Dakotas, but then we have this cold air locked in place here by early Saturday across southeastern Canada. Cold air funneling down through New England as we begin the day on Saturday. So there'll be a cold air mass in place here in the northeast U.S. And then this precipitation starts to break out over the Ohio Valley, moves into the cold air. Late in the day on Saturday, looks like the timing right now, and especially areas north of the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, north of the Mason-Dixon line, looks more and more likely some frozen precipitation. Pinks here represent sleet, freezing rain, and then the blue, snow, upstate Pennsylvania, and again, a lot of cold air in place. This will certainly end up being some accumulating snow in interior sections of the northern mid-Atlantic, interior sections of the northeastern U.S. Change over to plain rain is certainly on the table for late Saturday night and Sunday in the I-95 corridor region. It still remains to be seen how long frozen precipitation can last, but again, a lot of cold air around. Let's keep moving forward here. Significant snow potentially from this system across New York State, for example. And here we go. By Sunday night, that storm ends up off the mid-Atlantic coastline, and a very chilly air mass flows in behind it to begin the new month of December, to begin the new work week next Sunday night, Monday time frame. Here we go. By Monday morning next week, strong northerly winds ushering a very cold air mass for the beginning part of December. So a lot of activity all across the nation over the next several days, and we'll continue to update things here at PerspectaWeather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.